Welcome to Journey to You with Todd Malloy, a podcast about intentional living, courageous honesty, and the inner work that leads to a life worth celebrating. Here, we do not chase perfection. We honor growth. We honor becoming. Each episode brings real conversation with people who choose to confront their stories and reclaim their power and live a life on their terms. Why? Because authenticity is a practice and transformation. I'm Todd Malloy, and this is Journey to You. Welcome. You're right where you belong. First, Willie, I want to thank you for being a part of the show today and for your openness. I recognize sometimes that particularly as a man, it's hard to hold conversations, particularly with a therapist, but I appreciate your strength and your courage. I want to interview you on purpose. Reason being is that I think really well of you. And when I think of greatness, you came to mind. Not because you're on TV, not because, I don't know what your socioeconomic situation is, not because you may be Warren Buffett, but the way you've conducted yourself, the way you've shown up, and your commitment to your brand of excellence that you share with others is something to be appreciated and applauded. So that's why I wanted to have you here today.
Thanks, Doc. I appreciate that.
Hey, you're quite welcome. So can you, at first, just get started. I'd like you to introduce yourself and who you are, what you do.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for this opportunity. You know, when you first asked me, I had some trepidations and fears about coming and opening up, being vulnerable. So, but as the respect that I have for you, I said, this is something that I have to do. So, again, thank you for enforcing me to show up today.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Willie D. Williams. I have a title, but I like to talk about what I do.
Okay.
I work in education. I work at a community college, and I support students in whatever fashion that I see that they can be supported, whether it's academically, whether it's socially, or whether it's just being an open ear for them. Mm-hmm. Along the way, with making sure that they have the resources they need to be successful in the classroom and outside the classroom. And sometimes they don't understand that. And I'm like, well, let me help you understand this. And then, you know, you're at home and you're trying to study. Maybe the internet goes out, so you might need a hotspot. So we're going to fill out this application to get that. Mm-hmm. Or your computer goes down, so we're going to find that support.
So it sounds like you're working with marginalized children or people that may not have been exposed to the rigors of college, things that they required, or even marginalized people that don't have resources or awareness, and you're making sure they do, such that they can ultimately get to their life worth celebrating, or at least make it through this process.
Yes, because it's not a level playing field at all. So yes, I work with a lot of marginalized students, yes.
No, let's put it this way. I appreciate people like you, because I didn't have anybody. When I did my first college tour, mm-hmm. that 4-year degree took 10 years mm-hmm. because I fumbled my way through.
Right.
And they had no guidance. So just in the mere fact of hearing what you do, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I see the value.
Yeah. And again, this is something that I stumbled upon. My education, I have an associate's degree in general education, and then I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, sociology, and criminal justice. Because at first I thought I wanted to go in the criminal justice field to help out people that look like me. We don't have the support to keep us from going there. And then once we come home, who do we fall to, or who do we have to help us? So I thought I could find a niche in that area. And then I didn't. So I started working at a Boys and Girls Club for a while. And my wife told me, it's time for you to go back to school. So I went back to school and I got my master's degree in organizational leadership. And once I got my master's degree, it opened up bigger doors for me to join higher ed. Mm-hmm. So, I grew up in Ohio, Toledo, Ohio exactly, and worked at the Boys and Girls Club for about 12 years. Mm-hmm. I went on to Owens Community College, worked there for about 5 years, and that's where I really started feeling my voice and who I am and what I think I'm on this earth to do. Okay. And that's to support people, serve others, to help them get to their level of success or to a level in life where they never thought they couldn't achieve, because sometimes they don't have the support, or people don't tell them that you're smart enough or you can't do this. And once I got a piece of that higher education, I'm like, I'm not leaving. I think people need me to be that conduit between high school and college to help them navigate the resources and application processes, the language to get them to college, because college is not hard, in my point. It's just that having the right social support, can get you through, and I want to be part of their social support. Whether they're looking at me as a friend, a counselor, or uncle or cousin, they call me all kind of pseudonames like Uncle Will or Mr. Will, but they know that I'm here for them.
Out of respect, because they know you have a genuine concern.
I think so. I think it's the smile half the time, but it's not always the voice and the cadence that I give them. Because I want to show them that, I'm a man and I'm going to speak to you as a man. And then I'm also going to be very supportive. And I think they pick up on that.
So one of the things in Tai Chi, there's this concept of iron wrapped in cotton. I'm all man, but I also can have a soft touch.
I like that, Doc.
Right. Okay. That's how I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
Now, but this has also bled over into community, because you've also helped young men play football and do all of those things. So tell me about that.
Absolutely. A friend of mine, Myron Bell, he played football for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals. When I moved down here 13 years ago, we had this 7-on-7 football team called NC Elite. And his goal was to provide students, these student athletes, an opportunity to learn some skills that they may not have the resources to learn, because going to football camps costs a lot of money. Myron has a big heart, and he wanted to make sure that these students didn't have to pay a lot to get those skills. Him growing up in inner city, single parent mom, he didn't have those resources. So he brought it upon himself to say, this is what we're going to do. So we had a pretty successful 7-on-7 football team, from, I think we started with 13 all the way up to high school. And our goal was just to teach them so they could have fun, but also not get hurt. But the goal for us was, let's get them to college and not have to pay. And I think we did it. We had, I can say for sure, over 400 and some young men get D1 scholarships to go to college and didn't have to pay anything to go to college. So that was our goal. And I think we accomplished that. As we got a little older, the society and community changed a little bit. So we took the time to say, okay, we think we did our part, so we're going to bow out and we're just going to watch from the sideline now.
However, but you still have that commitment through your academics, through your professional learning, to still continue that journey for yourself.
And that's where I think that's what my calling, my true calling is. I wanted to play football, and I did play football in high school, wanted to go to college, and I think God had different plans for me. And I didn't have the opportunity to get on that football field in college because the ACT, SAT came around, and, I wasn't the greatest student in high school because I didn't have to be. They brought me there to play football. And so when I went to the University of Toledo, I became a student. And that's when I really had to find myself. Can I do this academically? What do I want to do with this degree? What degree do I want to pursue? And I didn't have a lot of people that look like you and I to kind of help me decide on different careers or what careers that were out there. So fell into the typical thing, criminal justice. And after a while, I figured I didn't want to do criminal justice. But I'm saying all that to say, I found my niche. And I thank God, because maybe football would have did something different. I wouldn't have been the person that I am today to be able to go into the communities and help these young men and women realize what they want to do.
I applaud you for not allowing a disappointment in life is to cause you to just surrender and quit. What you did is took it as a challenge and cultivated other parts of you to see what was still available. And still, to a point like Mike Tomlin, took it and still cultivated that part of you, but at the same point, moved on with your life and explored other aspects.
Right. Now, I wanted to give up because that's really what I wanted to do. Laying in the bed at night and trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life is tough. I didn't feel seen anymore. I felt like my life was abandoned. I went into deep depression. I just kind of sat around and allowed life to move past. And again, one day God spoke to me like, all right, that's enough of that pity party. Get up, go to school, and let's go ahead and get through it. And that's when I really started connecting with brothers in school. It was this young man, he was in a fraternity, and he said, hey, man, you don't got to do this by yourself.
Amen.
And I didn't join this fraternity, but he grabbed me and said, hey, man, you don't have to do this by yourself. And I thank him for that. And we're still friends today, but he helped me realize that we got a community here. And again, all these things helped me build who I am today.
So it's not for you. It's to open up, not to close yourself in or put the walls up. The guardedness is about being open as opposed to guarded.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's your why? What really gives you the passion? How did you start to kind of give you an empathy for marginalized people?
Well, myself growing up, single parent mom, inner city, 2 sisters, and we live in inner city, and I didn't have anyone in my community that was, let's say, positive. And in grad school, we had to do a capstone, and I did a capstone on in what ways the young men develop their leadership styles. And I talked about some of the guys from the inner city, and it was reverse mentoring. They were teaching us what not to do to be like them. So they made sure we went to football practice, we went to school, they came to our games. They didn't have a lot of money to give us after we won, but they'd buy us candy, buy some chips, buy some sodas. They let us hang out with them at night, but they walked us home. And when I tell people this story, I'm like, yeah, our old heads, they took care of us in the neighborhood. And
well, real talk for a second. Old gangsters never wanted young gangsters to be gangsters. The old gangsters taught so you wouldn't have to. I did what I had to do, but I'm doing what I have to do so you don't have to.
And that's what they did for us. And with that, Doc, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing for the people that I work with, because they saw enough in me to cover me, protect me, see the strength that I had, that I didn't see the strength. But they saw it as like, well, we're going to make sure they okay and they don't end up like us hanging out on the street corner. So as I was going through school and developing who I want to be, I thought about it. I'm like, well, this reverse mentoring is good. I want to be that person, that mentor, that person that young man see, like, I don't know who he is, but I'm going to take a little bit of him and I'm going to put in myself like I did. We had one of our principals in high school in Toledo, Dr. Richard Jackson. I thought he was one of the coolest brothers in Toledo, man. And I just watched Richard Jackson, whenever I got a chance, man. And I just emulated some of the things that I thought was unique about him that I thought would be good for me to do. And one of the things was listen first. I watched how he listened intently. When he's speaking with me, he listened intently. So I started learning how to listen intently, how to shake a man's hand. Those soft skills that we don't develop, I try to emulate those things so I can give to someone else.
Excellent.
And so that's when I started realizing I need to be this person to help our young people go to school.
What I'm hearing is to be successful in life, irrespective of nobody teaching us how to live, we're only taught to be students, professional, law enforcement, military personnel. After that, you got parts, I got parts, let's throw them together, hope for the best. Sounds like an accident waiting to happen. But it sounds like you took a lot of social learning, just grabbing things from here to here, what I call the Frankenstein approach. But you put intentionality to it when you applied it going forward. So it's like an ad hoc way of throwing things together to really form who I want to be. And then now let me be intentional that the people around me or the next generation doesn't have to do the same thing. Let me be intentional on how I teach. Let me be intentional about what I'm informing them about. Let me connect to them, be present to see where they are, not force them to be where I am, because I've been in all of these places, so I don't mind going back to meet you.
Right.
And then what I do is open you up to let you know where I am and where you can continue to go, and I offer those things to you.
I like the way you said better than I did. Yeah, that's exactly it, Doc. Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely. That's exactly
to be applauded. That's to be applauded. How did you figure that out?
Again, I think it was trial and error, once I graduated from the University of Toledo trying to find a job. So I was a assistant school teacher at a elementary school, a gym teacher at another school, and eventually fell at the Boys and Girls Club. I was a student at the Boys and Girls Club when I was a kid. That was our safe haven.
That was mine as a kid too, the Boys Club, bro.
Yeah.
That was the spot.
It was a safe haven. It was like $1.50 for a whole year for the membership. And then, we'd go there during the wintertime and we got a safe place to be at.
Play games, for athletics, We even had stock car racing, like little mechanical, little play cars
that we had to build ourselves.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we had to build them ourselves. So, being at the Boys and Girls Club as a kid and then going back full circle and being able to work there helped me realize this is your calling.
Amen.
Not knowing, and I'm gonna say I didn't know, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But when that calling came for me to work at the Boys and Girls Club, I felt fulfilled.
Excellent.
Because I was able to pour into these young people. I was able to guide them. I was able to mentor them. I was able to track them. I was able to encourage them to go to college. There was a young lady that she worked for me at the membership desk, and she told me, she said, I'm not smart enough to go to college. I said, why? She gave me the reasons why. She shared her family story. I said, well, regardless of all that, we're going to apply together.
Amen.
And I helped her fill out the application. She took it home and showed her mom. I showed her how to fill out the FAFSA application. I'm like, well, we're not going to use FAFSA because I think you're smart enough, you could get a scholarship. So she actually won a scholarship from the Boys and Girls Club, and Boys and Girls Club paid for her education for 4 years.
Outstanding.
So, again, those things that I'm just doing as a person kept reinforcing me, this is who you are. This is what you do well.
So you have a lot of empathy, but I'm presuming that empathy comes from a place of pain. You connected to that young lady. You've connected to others through pain because you see them. Talk to me about your pain and how that guided you, or what you had to do to be able to get to where you are and not get lost in between the middle passage.
Well, I didn't get lost because I was afraid of my mom. I was afraid of my mom, so I tried not to get too lost because I respect her with the utmost. With her being young and having 3 kids, I'm in the middle. I have an older sister, and her name is Delana. Then it's me. Then my younger sister named Chandra. And my mom, and my mom just tried to be there and be everything for all of us.
That must have been hard being the only male child in the house.
And yeah, it was challenging, in a good way and a bad way, because I didn't have any role models in the house. I didn't have anyone that I can really open up to and share, how do I do this as a man? Because they don't have the same anatomy I have. So I had to keep all that to myself and try to figure it out on my own.
What was that like to suffer in silence? Because it had to be for an extended period of time. What was that like for you?
It was terrible, but it was terrible. And I think I held on to it, and I still hold on to it today. I want to be able to let it go, but I was taught at such a young age, directly and indirectly, you don't have anyone to talk to about this, so keep it to yourself. You don't have anyone to talk to about this, so keep it to yourself. And things that I wanted to share, I'm like, reinforce. You don't have anyone to talk to about it, so keep it to yourself.
Right, but having, and unfortunately, I identify with what you're saying a lot because I grew up in a similar situation. Single parent mother, 9th grade education, mother of 2 kids. I was the oldest. So when you're the oldest black male child in the house with no father, you become daddy real quick, and you start at man responsibilities. So I recognized what it was, and that can be its own nightmare. We keep the mask on our face like we're okay, but underneath we're really not.
And I wasn't. I like you said, Doc, and I appreciate you allowing me to be vulnerable here today. I was suffering in silence, but I didn't know how to title it. It was just, I just thought this is the way life is.
How did you not allow it to cause you to self-sabotage? Because that pain can cause you to just, say, to some degree, real talk, fuck it. How did you not get there?
So I enjoyed school, even though I wasn't a good student. It was, a safe place. Safe haven. This is going to keep me out of trouble. This is going to allow me to be around men and other people my age. The men was my football coaches.
So you protected that you could have better. There's something in you that was protecting you not to get lost. And I have to believe that was innate to you, is that you wanted to live, irrespective of the environment.
Of course, absolutely. I definitely want to live, but what was I living for? I couldn't give you a reason right now. I don't know. I think I was living to be living, not living for a specific purpose.
With meaning and purpose.
Yeah, at that time, I wasn't living for meaning and purpose. I was surviving, going day to day, if I get my minimum needs met, housing, love, a little bit of security and food, I felt like I was okay. I felt like I was winning. My sister often joked with her. She was like, we don't have a lot, right? And I'm like, well, I got a lot. Mom able to make food for us every day. I got tennis shoes, I got clothes, we got a little money.
You were great. You were just great.
I was fine.
Right.
I was fine. And I thought I was living well, but still suffering in silence because being in a female in a dominated house, there was not a lot of outs for me.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time at the park, at the Boys and Girls Club. And I think I want to applaud my mom because she realized it. So I think she gave me a little bit more room to go out and hang out at the park with men and my guys, spend a night at my guy's house because I didn't have no one male figure in my house.
Right.
So she intentionally used to take me to my cousin's house because they have 4 boys.
Right.
So I used to go over there a lot. But still, when I'm at home, I get back to that real life,
right.
Suffering in silence.
Excellent. So through those experiences has really given you a compassion for others, but then found out and revealed to you that it was a calling. I applaud that you've allowed it to happen. Some people know right out the gate what their calling is. Some people come into it, evolve into it.
Mm-hmm.
But with all of that being said, what's next for you? Because it seems as though you've given a lot for other people not to go through what you've gone through and to have a better experience or an equal experience to where you are because you've transitioned. Hey, I know I went from government cheese to doing what I'm doing. So there's been a long journey.
Right.
Okay. You've done similarly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what's next for you? What do you see your next? How do you continue your journey from here? Now you're moving in your calling. When is it your turn or have you gotten your turn in the process?
That's a wonderful question, Doc. And sometimes I don't feel like I have the opportunity to have these discussions. So I feel totally confident and comfortable being here with you today to open up again, to share these things. And to answer your question, I don't know. Mm-hmm. My youngest daughter, she finished her master's degree. She just bought a house. So I feel like I need to still be available for her. So I can't say, okay, this is next for me, because I want to make sure I got her on a stable foundation.
Okay, but now I want to pick on you a little bit. But how is she not on a solid foundation if she's already got a master's degree and can already financially afford her own home in her mid-20s?
I don't know. I guess it's the nurturer in me.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be safe. I want them to have the support. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to feel like they ever lost that love and support in that foundation. Mm-hmm. So I'm willing and often take that back seat to make sure that I'm available for them. Okay.
Do you mind if I challenge you a little bit?
Yes.
Because even though you're living your dream and you're living in calling, I always want to challenge a person because you're still, compared to me, you're still a young man. So there's a lot of life. There's a lot of life in you. And I want you to, in life, there are new normals, there are transition points. But to some degree, you're almost past empty nester. Mm-hmm. And they're able to glean from all of what you've given them. Mm-hmm. So it's now time for you to see them walk on their own such that you can rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Because there's going to be a time that you're not going to be able to be there for them.
Right.
So to some degree, sometimes it's nice to step back to watch them do what they do, such that when it's your time to transition to the next level, you can go in peace because you know they're well.
I like it.
You want them to see them demonstrate their prowess while you're here. Mm-hmm. But if you're always there, do you keep them strong or do you make them weak?
I haven't looked at it that way. Mm-hmm. And so my oldest daughter, she lives in Ohio and she's doing well.
And you're not there.
And I'm not there. But I want to go back to your point, Doc. If I'm there all the time, am I making them weak? I never looked at it that way. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you challenged me on it it's okay to step back. Mm-hmm. And put myself first.
Right. Because one of the things I always have to share with or remind people, giving honor where honor is due is also to include you. What it is that through the process of life, you have made sacrifices knowingly, consciously for the benefit of others. But now I also understand there's a book that says your gifts will make room for you. As you graced people and gifted many others to have a life worth celebrating, offered it to your children. Wouldn't it be hypocrisy not to offer it to yourself?
Absolutely.
That maturation process of them being able to step forward while you step back is to make room for you so you can reap the fruits of your labor. So I challenge you to continue to explore, not just for the benefit of others. And I recognize you've gleaned and benefited and been empowered by what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But now this is a time also for you to include yourself in your equation of life at this stage, to see what the next future is, because even there's text that says old men should dream dreams and still see vision, not necessarily settle for mediocrity. As your children are growing and expanding, wouldn't you like to see that? Wouldn't it benefit to allow that your children to see you continue to grow and expand, to encourage them to grow and expand throughout the many layers of life, as opposed to just get to a place and now we're on coast?
What if I tell you I'm afraid?
Well, God does not give you the spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. The question is, why am I fearful? And is the fearful relevant to the truth of my experience? For example, fear really is, emotions in general are just metrics on how to move through life. We're usually afraid for a reason. We're usually in a new terrain, something we've not been exposed to before. Fair?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But then that means, hey, slow down, don't walk fast, be strategic because you might step on a landmine. Pace your steps, order your steps. Don't just be willy-nilly. You mentioned in some research you gave me before, you like to plan and strategize. Well, then you plan and strategize. You think it through, you process, understand, and then slowly take your efforts. Every child you meet that you help move forward, when you first meet him, you assessing him or her. You don't know exactly where to meet him, but you're trusting your truth, you're trusting your instinct, and you're reading the present moment. Like the gentleman you mentioned before that was very present and very engaged with you. You're very connected and present, so you can track them, and then you feel what their needs are, and then you show up. Why can't you do that for you?
I never looked at it that way.
Right. So that's my challenge to you, is to recognize that what you offer others, you can actually apply to yourself and give it to you as well.
Wow.
You don't have to negate you. So now that you've made room for so many people, now it's time for you to make room for you and even your wife, to talk about, hey, what do we want to love? The two of us came together to create this unique system we have. And it's beautiful, and we see the fruits of our labor. But now when do we applaud us? Like Thurgood Marshall said, when he dies, he's going to die chasing his secretary around the office. It's because I'm going to live my entire life.
Right.
And you've married well, obviously. Now maximize it. Fair?
Yeah. Very fair. Very fair.
So I applaud your brand of greatness because it is unique to you. Everybody has to define their own success. I don't buy into success has to look like television. Success has to look like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. But success to me is being able to live at my pace and make room for me. Whatever that looks like.
Right.
And I see you doing that. So I want to applaud you. I want to thank you for your greatness, because no matter where you are in your own personal life, you're making an impact for so many others, and not using your life, your story as an excuse, but as a way to give more. One of the things you're doing that I applaud, and people have asked me about this and it came out uniquely for me, was when people ask me why I get involved in the community so much, why do I want to pour into people so much? And I said, because I'm unleashing my children into the next generation. And if I don't prepare the ground, I set them up to be victims, not successful.
Wow. Yes.
So I have an obligation to the next generation to be a part of the solution and not the problem.
Yes.
And that's how I see you.
Wow.
So thank you. I thank you for your greatness. I appreciate you willing to be here, be transparent, and just thank you for being you, because you are enough.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that, brother.
Oh, of course. Always, brother.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. Remember, transformation is not theory. It is lived. It is chosen. It is practiced. Take one truth from this conversation and apply it to your real life today. If this episode expanded you, moved you, or spoke to your becoming, share it and follow the Journey to You podcast for more conversation rooted in authenticity, emotional authority, and intentional living. Because your evolution deserves to be witnessed. Until next time, honor your truth and live a life worth celebrating. Bye for now.